I just knew this dude was singing about a woman. I knew he was. I was maybe about 18, 19 when the Voodoo album was about to drop. That I finally figured out that, hold on, this dude is talking about weed. And she even got a sister by the name of Chocolate Top. And I'm like, I just thought the girl's name was Ty and she was chocolate. Nope, that's another strain. So it's like, okay, all right, this dude, that's that cheekiness, that's that, lyricism, that's that wordplay, that's that songwriting that's missing in music today. Hold on, everybody. You're right on time for another ride on the Groove Line with your host, Chris Stevens. And we come to you today solemn, but remembering a very special artist. If you're not familiar, or if you just are now tuning in, getting your hands on the internet or getting the news, the great D'Angelo, born Michael Eugene Archer, passed away earlier today after a private battle with pancreatic cancer at the age of 51. And I don't know if an artist's death has hit me this hard since Prince. And I mean, Prince and D'Angelo were like, musical kin in that regard. So losing D'Angelo, especially, he was a dude that, because Brown was, I'll talk about D'Angelo's career in a minute, but it was just the way his career kind of unfolded with my maturation as an adolescent to a teenager to a young adult. His career was like right in line with that. And then, he went away for a good while. I mean, he just kind of like stayed low key. And then out of nowhere, he drops one of the best albums in the last 15 years, just because he was ready to speak to us again. And when you think of D'Angelo, I mean, I unofficially, I mean, I'm nobody. I mean, I'm just a dude who loves music. I mean, I don't have any real cachet in this game as of yet. But I have been calling D'Angelo the Godfather of neo soul since I found out he passed. And to me, that is just a fitting title for him, because when you think of the way Brown Sugar just dropped like a bomb in the late summer, early fall of 95, it just literally changed everything we knew about R&B at that time, everything we felt about R&B at that point in time. Because you had, I mean, New Jack Swing, as great as it was, I don't think it ever really got too long in the tooth. And then, of course, you had that merging of hip hop and R&B, hip hop soul, as it were. Shout out to Mary J. Blige, the queen of hip hop soul, and all of that. And here comes this dude from Richmond, Virginia, with these braids, these straight backs, these cornrows, and a leather bomber, sitting at a piano, just, going keyboard crazy. I met her in Philly, and her name was Brown Sugar. And for those of us who were young at the time, like I was 14 when Brown Sugar came out. When Brown Sugar, the album, came out. I was 14 years old. And I just knew this dude was singing about a woman. I knew he was. I was maybe about 18, 19 when the Voodoo album was about to drop. That I finally figured out that, hold on, this dude is talking about weed. And she even got a sister by the name of Chocolate Top. And I'm like, I just thought the girl's name was Ty and she was chocolate. Nope, that's another strain. So it's like, okay, all right, this dude, that's that cheekiness, that's that, lyricism, that's that wordplay, that's that songwriting that's missing in music today. I mean, people aren't good at metaphors and, phrases and innuendo like they were back in our parents' and grandparents' days. And Brown Sugar, to me, was just another one of those perfect examples. Like when I was 14, I was a freshman in high school. I was going to an all-black high school for the first time in my life. I was surrounded mainly by black people and black girls that were just absolutely fine. And I was like, man, there's a whole lot of Brown Sugar around here. And of course, Lady was like in the lover boy bag. Like Lady was a song that I was stuck on for pretty much the first half of 1996. Like literally could not get enough of that song. Even the remix with AZ and DJ Premier. But the original version with Raphael Sadiq playing bass on it is just It's R&B perfection. It's unbelievable. And that was the first album. I mean, Brown Sugar, I mean, Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine came out later that year. You know, when you're a 14, 15-year-old kid that is starting to realize that you're kind of girl crazy, or, you know, have an admiration for women that goes beyond just looking at them, you want to be closer to them. It's like D'Angelo sort of had a way to express that. When you think about Lady, when you think about Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine, the Smokey Robinson cover. I mean, I've been talking about covers the last couple episodes. D'Angelo's cover of Cruising is the best version of Cruising. Nobody else needs to touch it. Nobody else needs to touch it. D'Angelo's version of Cruising, if you were there, you understand. You absolutely understand. And that version of Cruising was just like undefeated, undeniable. It's one, like I said, it's the best cover that exists. It's the one that everybody should, you know, just go ahead and say, all right, we can't touch this. We're not going to be able to do this song the way D'Angelo or Smokey did it. So we just going to leave it alone. And the other song on that album, the title that I can't say because I don't want to get, you know, knocked for any infractions, is SDM. And we've all had an SDM situation at one point in our lives. And for D'Angelo to say it that way, in a way that was sort of Prince-like. There's a very Prince-like element to SDM. And it's just, I mean, we can laugh about it now, but there have been times when we've just been like, mm, 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 mm. And it's just like, what can you do but just cuss? And that's what D'Angelo was able to do on Brown Sugar. And he paved the way for a sort of everyman R&B hero. And I'm just saying D'Angelo didn't have, you know, what people would consider good looks. I mean, we'll talk more about that in a minute. But D'Angelo made R&B accessible for people who didn't have, you know, for guys who weren't going to be considered matinee idols, guys who weren't going to be considered pop stars. These were people who could just literally sing you a story. And D'Angelo could sing you a story, and he could play it, he could write it, he could produce it. I mean, he did Black Men United, You Will Know, at 19 years old. Like, this dude was a prodigy, a tremendous prodigy. And his stylings opened the door for a lot of people that came after him. Maxwell was next with Urban Hang Suite. Then you had Erykah Badu with Baduism. Then you get Lauryn Hill's Miseducation, and then D'Angelo's on that with Nothing Even Matters. Probably one of the best love songs of the second half of the 20th century. It's definitely one of the best love songs in the latter half of the 90s, easily. And then, of course, you know, you have Jill, Music Soul Child, Flowetry, so many others that just sort of came down the pike after D'Angelo. You know, Questlove and the Roots were already in that vein, but Questlove and the Roots worked together. I mean, the Soulquarians click, man. Oh my God, the Soulquarians. I mean, there's been documentaries, there's been long forms written about the Soulquarians. Just search for Soulquarians. Just think about, just search Soulquarians and just learn about that crew and how they sort of took R&B out of that, that pop phrase, because it's interesting because I was talking to somebody on the phone. I'm probably going to be on this person's podcast in the very near future. And I said that R&B and hip hop had this really uneasy alliance with respect to trying to get people to listen to the music, which is why you had those R&B features, those hip hop features, and you still have them today. But the two are absolutely better off separate. Absolutely, the two are better off separate. And when you think about what D'Angelo was able to do with Brown Sugar and Voodoo and Black Messiah, and with Jill, with Erykah, with music, and they were just able to be standalone R&B stars. India.Arie too. I almost forgot India.Arie. I mean, there were so many people that benefited from D'Angelo kicking open the door and saying, okay, no, I don't have a lot of rap features on this. As a matter of fact, the only rap feature on my debut album is a remix of the song that's on my debut album. You want the remix? Go buy the remix. It ain't going to be on my album. You look at Voodoo and just how that was a tour de force. And then he went away for 15 years, came back and said, hey, I got this group called the Vanguard. We're going to do this thing called Black Messiah. You'll love it. And once again, it's one of the best albums of the last 15 years. Well, 10 technically, because it came out in December 2014, but it's pretty much a 2015 album. So yeah, you can say the last 10 years. Easily you can say the last 10 years. 10 or 15. We'll say that. But his legacy is going to be that of a genius, a trailblazer, a person who kicked the door open to a new era of R&B. I mean, yeah, we call it neo soul, but it's basically a throwback to the stuff that our parents loved. It was just with a Gen X millennial attitude, pretty much. And nobody did it better. I mean, I mean, the Voodoo album, I mean, Send It On. You got to put Send It On your after hours playlist if you're really serious about, sealing the deal. You got to put Send It On there. Of course, Chicken Grease was a fun record. And then, of course, Untitled. The legend of that song, unfortunately, is the music video because, I mean, D'Angelo, I guess it seemed like a good idea at the time. I mean, when you think about it, when you're a 25-year-old musician and a lot of what the record industry says you have to be is, aesthetically pleasing, and you have rips and cuts and a V cut all to be damned. I mean, like, I'll never have a V cut. I mean, the food I love is not conducive to a V cut. But I can tell you, as a heterosexual man, secure in his masculinity and his manhood and his sexuality, that V cut D'Angelo had in the How Does It Feel video is the one all bodybuilders should shoot for. Like, that brother was cut from here to everywhere. But unfortunately for him, it sort of gave him a complex and body image issues because it stopped being about the music. I mean, people would, he'd be performing, people would just say, "Oh, take your shirt off." And it's like, you're here to play me music. You're here to watch me and listen to me play music. You're not here for me to put on a striptease for you. And I imagine, as much as we talk about how, men are sort of immune to having feelings, having emotions, having anxiety about things, I think that pretty much, is why D'Angelo went away for a while, because people just looked at him as a piece of meat and not a game-changing musician. And I know that had to hurt. Like, I mean, this is a dude who literally just bared his soul into music and, gave us this great music. And people, I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not even going to put this on women, because the way women respond to bodies is kind of like, I mean, women are visual creatures too. I mean, we argue all the time about how women kind of look past looks, but at the same time, women still like to have something to look at. And, sometimes it can get the best of everybody. I mean, it's not as, I don't think women are as sinister with their eyes and thoughts about what their eyes should see as men are. But that hurt D'Angelo a lot. And he just, just kind of like laid low. And then here comes, Black Messiah, tail end of 2014. And 12, tail end of 2014 was a rough year for me. Like, 2014 was probably a year that I will never forget, but I would like to forget. I lost a job, lost a car, was almost homeless, had to really rebuild my life from that point forward. I was taking freelance jobs for the newspaper. I even thought about, I applied for temp work and nobody ever got back to me. Like, it was a rough time. It was absolutely a rough time. But D'Angelo coming back with something as powerful, as inclusive, as, revealing and just raw as Black Messiah was great. It was a great time, man. It was a great time to be a music fan. And he just sort of has been laying low for all of these years, still. And then, it just comes out today that he had pancreatic cancer. And if you're not familiar with pancreatic cancer, man, it is I mean, nobody wants cancer. Nobody wants cancer. But every time you hear somebody talk about pancreatic cancer, they sound like they are talking about the devil himself. And I imagine that was rough on him. It was rough on his family. It was rough on his loved ones. And that's the one people are least likely to come back from. I mean, cancer as a whole is something that you have to fight with everything in you. And it still wins sometimes. And pancreatic cancer is like the Brock Lesnar of cancers. Basically, when you hear pancreatic cancer's music coming, you snap your head around. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, this dude was only 51. I mean, he many people have said it. He deserved to grow old. He deserved to still share his music with us when he felt ready to, because the three studio albums he dropped, ain't a miss in there one of them. Like, just hit after hit after hit. Great song after great song after great song. Great message after great message after great message. D'Angelo was one of a kind. That's the best way I can describe it. And I mean, this hits because I mean, when I was 14 years old, I mean, this dude came on the scene, again, just very low key, very, sure of himself, but still very, you know, a musician's musician. And him, dropping 3 records like that over the space of over 20 years, and we still all remember them fondly. And people are just absolutely gobsmacked and crestfallen at his loss because he was just that transcendent of an artist and apparently that good of a human being. It sucks. It sucks. But that's the beauty of having music, because music outlives us all. It outlives the artist. It outlives the listener. We will be able to go back and listen to D'Angelo's greatness for as long as we are here. And I'm going to tell you, at 44, it is tough to know that people that you grew up in the same sort of space with, and I'm not saying I grew up knowing D'Angelo. I mean, I grew up with his art. I grew up with his music. I mean, dude wasn't that much older than me. And for him to pass on, it's just like, yo, mortality is something, ain't it? You really don't think about it until somebody famous or someone in that space of your life, that space of your age, passes on. And it's like, damn, this is going to happen to me one day. I mean, none of us live forever. None of us. I don't know anybody who has. As Richard Pryor once said, the ultimate test is whether you can survive death. And so far, nobody we know has passed the ultimate test. None of us. I mean, none of us will. None of us will. I mean, it just sucks that ultimate test comes sooner for others than most of us. And honestly, again, that is the reason for this channel. Like when you see me interviewing people like Keith Kilgo from the Blackbirds, when you see me interviewing Gene Robinson Jr. and Steve Green from Breakwater, I think I have another great 70s band coming on this show. So cross your fingers. And when you see me talking about D Train, you see me talking about Dana Myers and Betty Davis and Rick James, Garden of Love album. I want these folks to be remembered because they deserve to be remembered, because if you're a music lover, you should know who these folks are, and you should know what joy their art and their musicianship has brought to the world. And that's part of the reason for this channel. That is the reason for this channel's existence, to be 100% honest with you. I want you guys to know that I'm a music fan to the heart, and I'm going to share that with y'all. And I thank y'all for coming on board. Like the D Train video literally just increased my subscriptions by about 35-40%. And apparently that video stuck with y'all. I don't know how, but I'm not going to question it. I'm glad you're here, and we're going to keep talking about this music. We're going to have a good time doing it, and we're going to keep remembering wonderful people like D'Angelo. And it's just so unfortunate that, through all of his trials and tribulations, it's pancreatic cancer, the thing that falls him. But we got the albums, we got the memories, and we are definitely going to honor this man as he deserves to be honored, because R&B changed so much thanks to him. And we thank him for that. We send our well wishes to his family, his children, his loved ones, his musical friends, and everybody who knew him. This is a tremendous loss. This is a tremendous loss. We are going to find joy in, his memory and his music, because that's pretty much what his music was about, man. Just giving you something to listen to, something to think about, something to vibe to, something to make kids to, something to enjoy. And we are definitely going to enjoy D'Angelo's music for the rest of our days. And that's going to do it for this ride on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all. As always, contact information will be in the description below. Oh, yes. I have a Patreon, and I talk about different things over there. I have a dating and sex podcast. I share my creative writing stuff. You guys are more than welcome to subscribe to that. The link will be in the description below. It's only $1 a month to subscribe. If you would like to donate anything, if you guys are so inclined, if you want to drop a love offering, my Cash App will be in the description below. Same for my PayPal, and save for an ongoing GoFundMe that I'm trying to figure out my next steps with my crappy car. So if you guys want to help me dump this piece of junk and find something else, you can donate all those different ways. So yes, that's going to do it for this ride on the groove line. Greatly appreciate you guys as always. Rest in peace to D'Angelo. Thank you for everything. And until the next time we ride, may you find the groove, or may the groove find you.